Happy holidays everyone, this is Wizard1 bringing you another unboxing. This time it is the Silent Circle Blackphone 2. I bought this a couple weeks ago from eFox for 103 euros using coupon code EFBP10 that I found on tech blog iGeekphone.com. It appears that this phone is part of a current fire sale, as this phone has been released for a little while now, and the price that works out to, which is $150 Canadian, is a great price for the specs that you get. Before opening this up, I want to address a lot of confusion surrounding the phone itself, as eFox and other resellers online seem to have listed the LTE bands mixed together between the two variants, the rest of the world variant and the North American variant. So after some research, I determined that this in fact is the rest of the world variant, which support LTE bands 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 20, and 40. The easiest way to tell between the two variants is that the North America version has an IMEI number that starts with 569-19606, while the global variant versions, which is the one here, starts with 359-9506. So what does this mean to you as the end user in Canada? It means that in terms of LTE, you'll get coverage for the 2600 megahertz LTE 7 band, which is supported by all three of the big carriers, so Bell, Telus, and Rogers. However, as I've been started mentioning before in my other unboxings and my full reviews, please make sure that you check the link below in the description for a survey of the cell phone towers in your general area, as Band 7 deployment is inconsistent throughout the country by all three carriers, and is really depending on the geographic location. As for 2G and 3G coverage, we have both 850 megahertz and 900 megahertz coverage, which bodes well for all three of the big Canadian carriers. One thing that isn't common, however, is perhaps the biggest draw of this phone, and that's the presence of 3G HSPA Plus bands 1700 and 2100. For those who are unaware, those are the bands that Wind Mobility, which is now called Freedom Mobile, uses. So this potentially means that if they haven't mixed up the bands again in terms of the 3G bands, that potentially means that this will be one of the very few phones out there that supports AWS frequencies. If you are in the US, you're in luck, and this phone will be supported by T-Mobile, which also uses AWS. I personally don't have a Wind/Freedom Mobile SIM card, but I have a friend that does, so I'll be meeting up with him sometime this week to test the compatibility with AWS. I will update my findings in the description below, as well as in the full review video, which will be coming in about a week or so. So for Wind and Freedom Mobile users, hang in there, as I know that you're probably quite anxious to find out whether or not this phone supports your carrier. So let's quickly unbox this phone. So the box itself is very common, is very plain. There's really not much besides the label here. Aside from that, there's really, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a really subtle Silent Circle logo there. That's really about it, about the box itself. Okay, there's also a cut form tab right here, which if you just pull this open, which I really haven't seen before, you just pull this open and it opens the box. So let's just do that now. Okay, that doesn't, sure. Okay, let's get this box open. Okay, so now we have the actual phone box itself. See if we can focus that. Okay, so opening this up, actually the box slides open, revealing the accessories and the phone itself, which is pretty interesting. Haven't seen this configuration before in terms of boxing. So inside we have the manual and the SIM card eject tool. So we'll take this out, and that's the manual itself. So the manual is super basic. There's just some pictures in here. There's really nothing else besides that. We have the phone itself, which we'll look at in a second. We have the micro USB cable here, standard micro USB cable. We have the earphones. And lastly, we have the charger. This aside. Okay, so we have the charger here. So hopefully you can focus here. Okay, so as you can see, first of all, the charger is a European plug charger. So however, it might be worth your time and effort to go and buy an adapter for this if you're buying this for the North American market, as this is not a generic USB charger that you typically find with other phones. As you can see here, this is in fact a quick charge 2.0 charger, which supports charging rates at 5 volts at 1.67 amps, 9 volts at also 1.67 amps, and 12 volts at 1.25 amps. So you probably want to keep and use this charger for this phone as well as any other devices that might support Qualcomm's quick charge technology. Looking at the phone itself, it feels nice and really heavy in the hand to hold. Let's just take this out and weigh this. So the phone itself weighs 170 grams, so it is relatively heavy compared to other phones I've used. On the front, so let me just put this away. So on the front we have the 5.5 inch 1080p full HD screen, which is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 3. On the back, I believe the back might also be Corning Gorilla Glass as well. It feels like it has a metal unibody body. We have the headphone jack on the top here. We have the volume and power buttons on the side here. We have the rear facing speaker here. We have the 13 megapixel camera up top with the dual LED flash, and we have the 5 megapixel front facing camera. As I mentioned before, the Blackphone 2 is powered by a Qualcomm CPU, and that CPU is the Snapdragon 615 running 8 cores at 1.7 gigahertz. The phone itself has 3 gigabytes of RAM as well as 32 gigabytes of onboard storage. If that isn't enough for you, you can further expand the memory by ways of a micro SD card up to 128 gigabytes. Speaking of expansion, let me just take out the SIM card tray. So here's the SIM card tray. You can see here that the Blackphone 2 supports one nano SIM only. It does not support 2 SIMs. And the other slot is for the micro SD card. Lastly, the phone has a non-removable 3060 milliamp hour battery, which is smaller than most of the other phones I've tested. However, I have a feeling that Silent Circle has probably put some time into power optimization for this phone, since the phone runs Silent OS, which is a heavily modified version of Android 6 Marshmallow. Okay, so give me a sec to set up the phone and I'll briefly see how it runs. Okay, so as you can see here, I've already gone through some of the steps of setting up my Wi-Fi as well as updating the phone. Our phone already got an update. You can see here that when you set up the accounts, you have two choices. You have the standard Google account, but you also have the Silent Circle account that you need to set up. So if you can see, read that, it basically says that to use your Blackphone for encrypted calls and text, you must set up a Silent Circle account. That means that I guess all this stuff goes through their servers. I don't know whether or not you trust them or not or whatnot. I've heard also in the news recently that they're running into, I guess, financial trouble and they might not even be around for too much longer. So I'm not sure. I guess the features won't be supported once that happens if they really go under. I believe there might be some XDA support for this phone, but I will look into it and see and report back in the full review. Okay, so after setting it up, I was presented with the update here. So it's 3.0.6a. If you click here, you'll see that the update is dated for December the 7th, so it wasn't a super long time ago, so it looks like they're still developing it. Hopefully they continue and they don't go under, but that's basically the change log for the update. So I'll update this in a little bit and then come back to continue with the review. Okay, so the phone's set up now and you can see it here. It basically looks like any other Android device. If you click in the app drawer, you'll see the standard Google apps on the phone. You'll also see some of the Silent Circle proprietary apps which offer you security through end-to-end encryption if you set up the phone with their servers. Right now for this, obviously, as I mentioned before, I set this up only with Google account. I'll probably set up the Silent Circle accounts later, but the phone will still work perfectly fine as an Android device without the Silent Circle features on it. One thing I wanted to show quickly is this button here, which is the Security Center button. So the way this works is it works exactly like the way the BlackBerry D-Tech protection app works. It'll monitor and also scan the whole device and your apps to give you a privacy rating or a security rating, just so that it shows you what possible problems you might have with the phone in terms of your privacy or your security. So you can see here it's saying that because I have high accuracy GPS enabled, some things could technically track me. Also, if you click on the owner button here and you go into the app section, you can control and change the individual permissions of your apps itself. So it's a shortcut instead of going through your settings section, but you just go here and then you can basically modify and change the permissions for individual apps. I'll probably install the Nova launcher on this and see if it lets me. It probably will, but we'll try it out and see how that works, and I'll look at that in the full review. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show is the Antutu Benchmark for this phone. So let's put this down. Okay, so you see that we came back with a score of 38,768. So this phone by no means is a flagship phone or anything like that. It's basically a phone that will let you do what you need to do in terms of your personal business and your possible business. And that's what this phone is for. It's not geared towards the power user or not geared towards people who game a lot. So we'll still do some benchmarks on the gaming in the full review, but that's basically it right now for this phone. So this has been the unboxing of the Silent Circle Blackphone 2, available from eFox for €103, which is about 150 Canadian. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my video channel so that you can get up-to-date notifications when I post new videos. This has been Wizard1. Thanks for watching and have a great day.